Hello everybody, my name is Animal Productions and welcome to my second video of ranking the doctors, the tier list for the doctors. I have previously done the Doctor Who companions, which I will revisit at some time, but for the time being, I'm going to rank the doctors. So, quick disclaimer, I will not be ranking all of them because, as I have previously mentioned in the companion video, I have not seen a lot of Black and White Who. So that's mainly William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton. But I have seen a fair bit of everyone's eras onwards. Not all of them, especially Classic Who, but we're just going to wait and find out how it looks. So I am going to have to include. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I know there's a way you could include a new row and a row below. Yep. Let's just quickly change this. Ah, oh, fuck's sake. Oh, sorry for my language. Not really. Okay. Sorry guys. I have seen the first part to An Unearthly Child and the War Games, but that's it. I can't really rank these two based on that. So we are kickstarting off this tier list. Is this in alphabetical order? No, it's clearly not, because we have like 10, 11, 12, 13, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. So, starting off with David Tennant's Doctor. So, this is, without a doubt, even if you do not like, sorry, I need to rephrase that. Even if you do not like the 10th Doctor, you cannot deny his popularity within the show. Arguably, it wasn't Christopher Eccleston that really got the show back on its feet in 2005, but you could even make a case that it was David Tennant. Now, when it comes to ranking him, he was an okay Doctor. He definitely did get better every single series he played in, from series 2 to series 4, but he never really did stand out as the Doctor until, say, late season 3 in the finale, which is by no means a bad thing. You know, I'm sure he definitely put a lot of effort in. You know, you did see little gleamings of his character in series 2 to series 3. But for me, he developed quite late compared to some Doctors. Overall, he's not overall, sorry, but he's also pretty overrated as a Doctor. You know, he's he's a lot of fangirling towards his era in particular. Once again, no means a bad thing, but his era, upon rewatch, is not as good as a lot of people would have you believe it is. Series 2 is a really, really big mixed bag. Hang on. Series 2 is incredibly average in quality compared to series 1. If you watch series 1 to series 2, you know exactly what I mean. In series 1, you know, it was very, yes, it had its ups and downs, but it was mainly up, so you could definitely tell that compared to series 2, it did not have that same traction. Regardless, he was still he still goes to the 3rd and 4th season onwards, so can't really sing that much shit towards his way. His on and off relationship with Rose as well it was a really dragged series too, but it was like, can we get a move along? Martha, once again, Martha's a pretty underrated companion. I really liked her. I liked her over Rose. It's a shame the writers didn't really do it justice to that department. And 10 with Donna is one of the best companion Doctor relationships we've ever had in the show. And I think that Donna really did bring out the best in 10 when it came to that sort of companion duo. So for me, I'm tossing up between a low B or a high C. I'm going to keep it a low B for the time being, but we'll see how this changes. The 11th Doctor. So the 11th Doctor was also pretty popular to begin with, but as the show, as Stephen Moffat kind of went on, he really started to witness a lot of a very stark drop in popularity, which is by no means Matt Smith's fault. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes from what we've all seen. That Series 11 did not turn out as good as it should have. His relationship with Amy and Rory were all pretty good. And who's that? River. This is definitely one of the main River-centric Doctors. I would argue 10 maybe with the Big Finish stuff he's recently gotten, but probably not as much as 11 or even Capaldi. So, his tenure on the show was pretty decent as well. He had a great first season, which is once again pretty overrated, but it definitely does have some great stuff in there. Series 6, once again, a huge mixed bag, even better than Series 3, which is saying something. And Series 7 was when he really started going off the rails. He was still the Doctor, you could definitely tell he's still the Doctor. But it was like he was playing a more eccentric, like he was trying to emulate 10 way too much towards the end. And for that, he's definitely going to a high C for me. Capaldi. I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off with this placement, but I think that Capaldi is once again another really overrated Doctor. Like, he's good. 12 is really, really good, and Capaldi is a fantastic actor. But what's really holding me back with him is his tenure on the show. He does have a lot of great stuff, but between that great stuff, there's a lot of shit stuff in there too. And the stuff that wants to make you blow your brains out with a hammer very slowly. Capaldi's stuff with Clara and Bill and Nardo. Once again, it's all pretty serviceable. Series 8 wasn't a complete train wreck. I don't think it's as bad as people say it is. Neither was Series 9. Once again, Series 9, yeah, had some pretty decent stuff in there, but it had some pretty shitty stuff. Series 10, it's overrated as hell. Honestly, when people say it's a return to form from Moffat, I think they just have stars in their eyes because it wasn't the complete shit that it was in Series 8 and Series 9. So, in that regard, I am going to keep it in the C territory, but I am going to put him above Matt Smith. Just because Peter Capaldi didn't really go off the rails in the same way that Matt Smith did. He was pretty consistent throughout his entire run, even if the writing didn't let him down. Which, honestly, you could maybe say that's going to be the case for a lot of people in this list. So, God, the 13th Doctor. I really like having a E in there. Let's delete E. So, Jody Whitaker. This is definitely going to be one of the more contentious ones. When you say you don't like Jody Whitaker on the forums, you immediately get hampered down with the usual sexist stuff, or you don't like her because she's a woman doctor. I just flat out do not like her because she is such a terribly written doctor who has no consistent characterization. It's not even funny. If it was meant to be a joke throughout this entire run, then yeah, I could definitely give it some brownie points for that. But it's the fact that we are 2 seasons and 2 New Year specials in, and she still does not have a clear, nailed down personality. Neither did any of her companions, neither did any of her stories. So, just for that, she's probably going to have to remain in the F tier. She is complete. Jody, I'm sure, is trying her best, and with all the directing that's been going on that, but she hands it up so much in the show. Once again, it is not even funny. Like, it's not even, me talking about it is so bad. Series 11 and 12 are not bad because they're genuinely bad. They're bad because of how mediocre and how below form it should be as a show. But anyway, that's I think I've ranted on about Shinmore and shit long enough. Let's go for Jon Pertwee. So, I really like Jon Pertwee from what I've seen so far, and keep in mind this is only from what I've seen so far. I'm not even halfway through season 8 yet, I don't think, but season 7, he's on complete fine form. Genuinely, he is fantastic. He does not give it a bad performance so far, and it's honestly, I just can't find anything bad really. He has the stories to hold him up, he has companions to hold him up, he has the acting to hold him up. It's just not really anything you really sling shit on him for. And the same for Tom Baker. Now, Tom Baker is a pretty overrated doctor, if we're all going to be pretty frank. You know, him saying that he's a definitive article, yes, I can definitely see that. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't be the definitive article at all. He has some genuinely great stories in there, in his run. However, I cannot let loose the fact that some of his stories are completely overrated. Genesis of the Daleks is completely overrated. Sontaran Experiment, completely overrated. What's another one? Towns of Wang Chiang, completely overrated. These are all still great, and sometimes even, these are all good, but sometimes even great stories. The only real problem is that I think people tend to overrate his era of the show way too much just because it's Tom Baker. I've only seen him with Leela. I've seen him in almost all of season 18. I'm only missing Leisure Hive and Meglos with those two stories. I've seen him with season 12 and almost all of season 13. With Sarah in that, but it's by no means a bad doctor, but he is just so incredibly overrated. It's not even funny. So I still believe I think he should stay in the A tier, but at the same time, I can't put him any higher. His stuff with Big Finish too, once again, it's pretty mediocre. He does have some genuinely good stuff in there, but once again, I think it's just hampered down by some of the stuff that's in there. It's just a pretty shoddy writer. I think I'm dwelling on this way too much. I don't know why I'm going off the tracks, but let's just go on to Peter Davison. Okay, so the Fifth Doctor. Yeah, I like Peter Davidson. I have not seen a lot of his stuff though, but I have heard a lot of him Big Finish. So I think I can rank him based on that. So, can I really though? I've only seen Earthshock, Resurrection, and some of Warriors of the Deep, and Caves of Androzani. Yeah, that's it. But I think I can rate him based on what I've seen of Big Finish, which, to be quite frank, is probably going to be more of a detriment to what he has than a betterment. So I think a C tier doctor is probably where he should stay at. I think he's better than Capaldi and Matt Smith easily, but I wouldn't put him higher than David Tennant. Like, he does have some pretty good stuff in his run, but his stuff with Big Finish is what hampers down a lot for me. Namely, he has some generally good stuff with Nissa and himself in the monthly range. However, it's the Perry, Aramem, and Fifth Doctor stuff that really hampers it down. If you've heard what I have to say in the companion stuff, the Perry, Aramem, and Fifth Doctor run is probably the weakest run we've had so far, and there's not even the fault of the historicals. You can do historicals well, and a lot of them are pure historicals. Historicals in that. But what the problem is that it just feels boring to watch. The Council of Nicaea is probably really egregious of this, where it's almost 2-hour run, And they spend a lot of it going back and forth between a couple of buildings going, we can't change history. Yes, we can, Doctor. No, we cannot. Yes, we can, Doctor. No, we cannot. Yes, we can. It's just that over and over again. And it gets pretty tedious after a while. It took me, I think, almost 4 days to try and plow through that and listen to it. Some stuff like, I've been able to listen to entire box sets from the 8th Doctor run, such as Dark Eyes and all that, which I'm currently on the 4th box set of Dark Eyes. I've been able to listen to an entire Dark Eyes box set, which is about 4 hours long, and go through it easily. And it's a struggle to get through the Council of Nicaea, which is half that. So once again, I think he's a pretty mixed bag Doctor. He does have some pretty great stuff, but his stories tend to let him down. Companions. So once again, I think his companions, I haven't seen a lot with Turlo or Tegan and Nessa, but I've had to rank based on the companions. If you go up or down, I can't really say he can do either. I think it's Staying at Sea is probably best, because Perry, yeah, I like Perry. I don't love Perry. I think she's better than, a lot of companions we've had in the last 2 seasons of the show. But she can't really get any better than that. Nissa, I like Nissa. But once again, I don't love her enough where I can really bump him up. So, actually, I think it's a bit mean putting him in C tier. I think he is better than Capaldi and Smith. Actually, no, I think I'm even going to put Capaldi up here. Capaldi is like a low B Doctor. Davidson is a more I accidentally bumped my mic. Davidson is a more mid B tier, and Tennant is more of a high B tier. I think I'm gonna skip Colin Baker for the time being. I'll come back to him. Sylvester Mccoy. So McCoy. I like McCoy. He has some really good stuff in his tenure, mainly season 26. I've listened to all of season 26, all of season 27, which yes is a thing. Look it up at Big Finish. What else? I'm currently binging through the Hex Ace range with him as well. Yeah, he's a pretty solid Doctor. There's not really a lot to say, but I haven't seen season 24, season 25 yet, any of it. So this is probably going to be bound to change when I watch all of that. So Ace and Mel. So Mel is definitely a lot better in Big Finish than what I've heard. Than what I've heard she's like in season 24, which is notoriously really bad. It's something I'm not looking forward to when I do my binge. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, he's pretty solid. I would put him. Actually, I think putting Tennant above. I think putting Tennant on high B. I think this is probably better. Like, I know you see McCoy's a lot darker manipulative side, but I think that's a really big caricature. People like to throw it like, yeah, he's dark. He's a lot dark. He's a lot more manipulative than other Doctors. But I wouldn't say he's as dark and as manipulative as some people make him out to be. Yeah, honestly, once again, high B. So we have like our high B, low B, high B, mid Bs, and then low Bs. Colin Baker. Not yet. Paul again. I like Paul. Once again, if you've been paying attention to anything I've been saying, I've been binging through the 8th Doctor stuff and Big Finish. I'm up to Dark Eyes 4. So, the TV movie. If I were to base him purely on the TV movie, he would probably be a really low B. He is personified beautifully throughout the TV movie. He's a really, really good character. and is played expertly. You know, Paul McGann as an actor, mwah, you know, perfect. You know, if you had to pick someone for the Eighth Doctor, yeah, they got him. The TV movie was alright though. I really like Grace, and Charlie Sato. I really like Charlie. I really liked Kerry's. I didn't really like him. I really liked Molly. I really like Lucy. I really like Tamsin. So when it comes to companions, yeah, his companions do hold him up well. His stories, yeah, reasonably. He does have a lot of overrated stuff. When I say overrated, I don't mean Chimes of Midnight or Scherzo. Maybe Scherzo, actually. Scherzo was alright. It really did struggle at the time, but it did do it somehow and gripped you. Chimes of Midnight, mwah, once again, beautiful stuff by Robert Sherman. Dark Eyes, yeah, really good. He hasn't had a bad story in Big Finish from what I can remember. Definitely mediocre, but nothing bad. So I think he's probably going to go above McCoy as a high B. Really like a very high B or very low A. I haven't been able to decide yet. Okay, I'll skip Eccleston for the time being too. John Hurt. Okay, so the late John Hurt did a pretty good job in the 50th. I have not listened to any of his stuff on Big Finish yet. I am getting there, I promise. Now, the 50th anniversary was pretty average in my opinion. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad. It was sort of really middling, which is really, really upsetting because, you know, because of what they did at the time, where in that, oh wow, we actually secretly saved Gallifrey its entire time. It's like, fuck off. You know, like you build up all of that in the course of 7 seasons and you completely smash it within the course of about an hour and a half. What else? Yeah, honestly, I think like a low C, because I can't put him above Matt Smith. I just cannot. I think he's just going to stand on low C. Honestly, yeah, he's pretty good, but he's nothing I really can gush on about. Okay, Joe. Heidi. Straight up. In the course of the however long Fugitive of the Jadoon was and some of the Series 12 finale, the quote-unquote 14th Doctor, and I say that in very big parentheses. I bumped my microphone again. Okay, sorry, that should be fixed. The quote-unquote 14th Doctor, in her little screen time that she had, was, even though it was completely unnecessary, was still a lot better than anything we had with Whitaker in the past 2 seasons on the show. And that's saying something. That is saying a very, very big something. Once again, not really that much screen time, so there's not really much to say. Her companions, we had that one dude who I can't even remember the name of. Yeah. Honestly, just not really anything better than a D. Once again, considering she only had 1 episode basically, she's a lot better than some other people we've had. So, the Valeyard. Once again, I think a low C would probably fit the Valeyard. Perfectly played by Michael Jason. You know, his stuff on Trial of a Time Lord was all pretty good. Even the finale, which was really, not really weak, but just really struggled to keep my attention. It was pretty good in all of it. Even throughout the trial, yeah, it was a bit so-and-so. He was like, now, Doctor, we've got you this time. And it went on to the credits and that, you know, I think I really dragged the show on dragged season 23 on for me. You know, the whole, now Doctor, confess your crimes and throw yourself at the mercy of this court. It's like, oh, give it a rest. But it's probably more the script's fault more than Michael Jason. His stuff a big finish, like He Jests the Scars and He Jests the Scars and Trial of the Valiant. Yeah, they're pretty good. And I'd say it's somewhat better than some of the stuff they and had to show, but it's not really a lot. So I think a low C is probably, or maybe even a mid C, honestly, if I'm gonna really put out about it. So yeah, better than John Hurt, but not better than Matt Smith. Colin Baker. So this is gonna be a bit controversial where I put him. But Colin is one of my favorite Doctors. He is, Colin puts in a really great performance as the 6th Doctor. Can't really fault him for a lot of that, if I'm going to be quite honest. From what I've seen with season 22, season 23, it is not as bad as people say it is. I've seen the Twin Dilemma, Revelation of the Daleks, about half of the 2 Doctors, and all of Trial of a Time Lord. None of it is as bad as what people say it is. Even the Twin Dilemma. Like, yes, the Twin Dilemma, yeah, it's a bit camp. It's very campy in some places. But there's nothing that really go the way to say, yes, this is definitively the worst story of Doctor Who ever. And for that, and a lot of his Big Finish stuff too, he has some incredible stuff on Big Finish. Things like Project Twilight, Jubilee, anything with Evelyn Smythe in it, to be quite honest. His stuff with Frobisher, yeah, just fantastic. I just really can't fault him. He's not as bad as people say it is by a long shot. Not by a million long shots. And you should probably, if you think you might not like it, give Colin a go, honestly. Just give him a go. So, yeah, I think I prefer him over John. I think I prefer him over Tom as well, if I'm going to be completely honest. And I think it's really down to what you really want out of Who. If you want the more lights, sorry, I can't speak right now. If you want the more family-friendly stuff, then yeah, go for Tom Baker, go for John Pertwee, or maybe not John Pertwee. Some of John Pertwee's early stuff is a bit out there. But I like Doctor Who when it's not afraid to bare its teeth every now and then. I like Doctor Who when it's not afraid to pull off these really big twists and turns, when it's not afraid to really throw itself out there with how dark it really can be. I may point you to the scene in Revelation of the Daleks where, the 2 people are going to try and find this girl's father. They find him and he's in the midway process of becoming a Dalek, and, amidst his screaming and that, he's begging for them to kill him so he doesn't become like them in the midst of being turned to Dalek and food. Stuff like that. You would never see stuff like that. Or even, another example is when, that chick stabs the main coroner in the heart for Davros. It's stuff like that you would never see in the modern show, and that's something I wish the show would do a lot more of, because it's not. I don't think it should be entirely yeah, it should be dark, but it should be family friendly oriented too. Because I grew up watching stuff like that. I grew up watching things like The Parting of the Ways. Where the Daleks come and they shoot everybody on platform 5, I think it's called. I can't remember. It's one of my favorite stories. Or, in Dalek, in the Revival, or Dalek, when it's completely tearing through the base and murdering everyone. It's the most ultimate thing, ethnic cleansing, and you just let it loose. Stuff like that. You will never see that in Chibnall's Who. And so, I think I might switch these 2 up occasionally. These two are about high A's for me and a mid B for John. And last but not least, while we're talking about Dalek and the Pardon of the Ways, Christopher Eccleston was my Doctor. He was my first Doctor. He was my first ever Doctor I was introduced to back when the show was revived in 2005. He was just the first Doctor I was introduced to. His season, okay, I should probably explain, okay, hang on, I should probably, go over Colin Baker's companions a bit more. So, yeah, Perry's pretty good, I've already said that. And Mel is not as bad as people say it is. Okay, now onto the Doctor. Onto the Ninth Doctor, sorry. Eccleston is my personal favorite Doctor. He may not be the best, but you cannot deny that his impact on the show is definitely what kept it going. You may think that the 10th Doctor was what kept things going, but there's no doubt in my mind that the show would not have gone past its original 13 episodes without him. Series 1 is hands down currently my favorite season of Modern Who. There is not a single bad episode in there, not even the long game. Like, yeah, the long game tends to drag about the halfway mark, and it seems to really stretch it out with Adam's sort of B plot. But it is, once again, if his quote unquote worst episode is high average, high C to a low B, then what have you got to complain about? Things like Father's Day is one of my favorite stories of all time. You have things like Dalek, which, yeah, I think it's a bit overrated, but it's still bloody fantastic. Bad Wolf, The Parting of the Ways, one of my favorite stories of all time. The Empty Child of Dr. Dances, one of my favorite stories of all time. Rose, that you can't fault a single bad episode. You can't fault a single episode of the entire season. And, Christopher Eccleston's performance in the entirety of it is spot on. From the moment he grabs Rose's hand and says, "Run," that's the Doctor. And while we're on the topic of Rose, Rose is at her best in Series 1. You might like the dynamic between her and Tennant, where, does he love me? Does she love me? Let's go into the closet and share our feelings. Hee. That might be for you, but that's not really what I liked out of Series 2. Series 1, on the other hand, got companions like Rose, Captain Jack Harkness. You had pseudo-companions like Mickey and Adam, who, once again, Adam was okay, but Mickey more than made up for it. Yeah. I just, he had the stories, he had the finale, he had the regeneration, he had everything you could ever want in his final rendition of Series 1. You just can't fault him for it. You have everything in there. I just cannot fault a single bad episode. I just cannot fault a single episode at all. And I think that's going to have to change. I think that's going to have to finish my ranking Doctor Who's. Oh, I could change the background. I didn't know that. I could make it a hot pink. Oh, excuse me. It's dinner coming back up. So if I had to go over it one more time, Chris Eccleston, my favorite. Tom Baker, Colin Baker, John Pertwee. From what I've seen in the era so far, it's pretty solid. Paul McGann, Sylvester, Peter Davidson. All of these classic Doctors are really good. And another thing about it, apart from the Valiant, every single classic Doctor is so far a B or higher. Peter Capaldi, David Tennant, pretty good. Okay, Matt Smith, the Valiant, and John Hurt. Michael Jason, they're decent. Not really anything extravagant. Maybe they have the ups and downs. Maybe just completely average that entire thing. But they're okay. Joe Martin, Jody Whitaker. Ugh. If I'm gonna be completely honest with you right now, If I had the reins over Doctor Who right now, I would retcon all of series 11 and 12. And it's that bad. It is, and especially what they did in series 12, where they revealed that the Doctor is not really the Doctor, because, you know, she can't ever die or whatever. She can't ever die, so what's the whole point? That ruined it. And from that point on, you knew Chibnall was only trying to stamp the show into the ground for the sake of it. There was no creative reason whatsoever to make that a real thing. And sorry, William, sorry, Patrick, but when I get to your errors properly, I'll go over you once again. And in the meantime, have fun. I'm signing off.